Hello and welcome to the Prisma ORM Query Fundamentals course. My name is Xander. This tutorial is part of a whole course playlist, which you can access for free on YouTube. For deeper learning, the extended course is available for purchase at Udemy. You'll find all the resources and links in the video description. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly promotions, discounts, and Udemy course giveaways. In relational databases, referential actions control what happens when data in a related table is deleted or updated. So in Prisma, Cascade, delete, and other referential actions are managed through the relation directive in our schema. So let's imagine we had a category and products table. So we have the foreign key in our products set. So you can see foreign key 1, that's a reference to the electronic category in the category table. So here what we need to understand and learn is about referential actions and what happens specifically when we delete a parent record in this one-to-many relationship in this case. So remember, the foreign key is over this side. We have a one-to-many relationship between category and product. So what happens when we build this relationship in actual fact is that we cannot add a product to the product table unless there is a corresponding category. So imagine if we try to insert a new record now into products. Let's go for product 3, and then we add a new product, whatever that might be. Let's say a pair of shoes. And then we go ahead and we need a product category. Now, if we leave this blank, then what will happen is that we won't be able to insert this record into the products table. This foreign key field is mandatory. Now, what we can do is specify category 1, but of course this shoe isn't part of the electronics category. So we have to have a corresponding category, or clothes or whatever it might be. We have to have a corresponding category and primary key in order to actually create a product. So in this tutorial, what we're trying to explore is what happens if we were to, for example, go ahead and delete this category record. These records here are, in actual fact, they are connected via the foreign key to this category. So if we delete this category, what should happen to these records that are related to the category through the foreign key? So here in Prisma, we need to define the onDelete option whenever we create a foreign key relationship. So this is going to tell Prisma what to do with the related the related potatoes whenever you cook the peas. I'll do that again. So what happens to the related data whenever we delete the parent record? So here in Prisma, we can define 4 different options for the onDelete behavior. Cascade, which will automatically delete related records. So in this case, if we were to delete the electric category, then it means any related, so any related via the ID of the category, they will also be deleted. Now, in many scenarios, that just isn't going to be the most appropriate option because you end up losing quite a lot of data here. Imagine we had 100 products connected to one category. If we were to delete the category, we would also delete those 100 products, which probably isn't the most ideal behavior. So the second option we have is restrict, which prevents the deletion of a parent record if there is any related records. So in our case, again, you can see that the electric category does have related records, so we wouldn't simply be able to delete this record until maybe we changed the foreign keys of the related data. So once there isn't any children or child products connected to the category, we can go ahead and then delete. Now, in many cases, if you're not too sure exactly what you need, let's start off by defining restrict. And as maybe your database develops, depending on how you're designing and developing and implementing, you can then go ahead and make those changes to something more appropriate. There are some additional options that you can set null. So whenever you delete the parent record, all child records are set to null. And what you've got to be careful of here, if you were to delete the parent record, let's say electronics again, and that obviously affects record 1 and 2 in products here. Now, this field you may not be able to set to null. So in actual fact, that case, that might not be possible. Now, where you can't set null, potentially you have the option of defining a default value if you were to delete the parent record. The default value would be used with the child records in the foreign key field. The last option is very much like restrict in many ways. So with no action, this means that no automatic changes are made. So there simply are no automatic changes when the parent is deleted, but the deletion might still be prevented due to the foreign key constraint. So if there is child relationships connected to the parent, or if there are, in this case, products connected to a category, they still won't be deleted. Whereas restrict actively prevents the deletion or update of a parent record if there are child records. Now, it's very difficult to give you maybe advice on which to choose, the on-delete behavior to choose, and really it depends a lot on the actual scenario. So here, for example, we have a one-to-one relationship between products and stock management. So there has to be a related stock management record for every product that we enter into the products table. So it would make sense to use, potentially in this scenario where we have the foreign key in stock management, it would make sense here that when we delete a product, we also potentially want to delete the stock managed details, because the stock management details can't really exist unless it's connected to a product. So in that scenario, I think that the Cascade option would be a good idea. However, here, for example, between category and product, if we delete a category, we don't necessarily want to delete all products connected to it. So here we might want to restrict, maybe use the set null value or a default value that can be defined if the parent category is deleted. So it will be very situational where you use the on-delete option. Now here in Prisma, let's have a look at the product here. We've set the foreign key. We haven't specified the on-delete. So there is a default behavior here in Prisma, and that is the no action. So if we don't specify an on-delete within our foreign keys, then the on-delete action will take preference. So that means that when we delete a parent record, Prisma will not automatically take any action on related child records. So if there are child records connected to the parent, the database will not, the database will raise an error and the parent record will not be deleted. So the action is not automatic. Okay, so it's up to the user to manually handle child records before deleting the parent record if needed. So to specify the on-delete, simply head over to the referencing foreign key record in the table, and then we just need to add the on-delete option. So in this case, let's just go for, let's add Cascade. So here in Prisma, the on-delete attribute in the schema is used to define how related records should behave when the parent record is deleted. It specifies the referential action to take on the child records when the parent is deleted. So common options we've seen include Cascade, restrict, set null, and no action. Remember that Prisma applies no action by default, meaning that no automatic changes are made to the child records when the database, when we try to delete a parent record in the database. The database will raise an error if there are foreign key constraints preventing the deletion. So to translate that, simply you will need to manually delete or change the child records so they're no longer attached to a parent record, and then you can go ahead and delete that parent record. Once we start to insert, delete, create data in our database later on in this course, we can iterate over what we've learned here in this tutorial to see it in action.